Today we're going to be starting Chapter 8 on loans. So with the start of each new chapter, we're going to start our equation sheet. So go ahead and pull out a piece of paper and label it Chapter 8 Equations. The first lesson is 8.1, Single Payment Loans. The first of the many equations from today is interest equals principal times rate, this is usually a percentage, times time, which is usually some fraction of a year. Next, we have ordinary interest. Which equals principal times rate times time divided by 360. Exact interest. Equals principal times rate times time, and this time we're going to be dividing by 365. Last equation for this lesson is maturity value. This equals our principal plus our interest. On the previous slide, you were introduced to 6 vocabulary words for this lesson. Let's discuss those 6 words. The first word, single payment loan. This is a loan you repay with one payment after a specified period of time. The next word, promissory note. This is a written promise to pay a certain sum of money on a specific date in the future. Maturity value. This is the total amount of money you must repay for a loan. Term. This is the amount of time for which a loan is granted. Ordinary interest. Interest on a loan calculated by basing the loan's time period on a 360-day year. Exact interest. Interest on a loan calculated by basing the loan's time period on a 365-day year. All right, let's dive into our lesson for today. Keep your equation sheet handy. Example 1. Anita, her bank granted her a single payment loan of $7,200 for 91 days to pay for new merchandise for her candle show. Determine the maturity value of the loan if the rate is 6% ordinary interest And then it also wants us to do 6% exact interest. Now, in order to find our maturity value, we have to have our principal plus our interest. So then we have to ask ourselves, which type of interest loan are we dealing with? In the first case, it's asking us to do the ordinary interest. So we're going to take our principal times the rate, remember that's your percentage, times the number of days over 360. So we're going to start with A. We're going to do, our principal was the amount of the loan. That was $7,200. We're going to multiply that by our 6% interest. And we are doing this for 91 days. And since the first one is ordinary, we're going to divide by 360. Let's grab my calculator here. So we've got 7200 times 5 divided by 100. Remember, we need to change that to a decimal. Times 91 divided by 360 days. So what this is saying is that we have to pay $91 just in interest. This does not include the amount of money that we borrowed for the loan. To find out how much I have to pay back, we're going to need to take our loan amount, which was at $7,200, and add the interest owed, which is this $91. So whenever I borrow this loan for 91 days, I'm going to owe $7,291 because I have to pay the loan amount plus the interest for borrowing it. Let's take a look at B. B asks us to look at it as if it were an exact interest loan. So that means instead of dividing back here by 360, we're going to be dividing by 365. And I did this wrong. I apologize. Because way back here, I did 5%, and that should have actually been 6% interest. So we're going to go and make an edit to this. I'm going to go back here, and we're going to say 6. So that is going to change the amount of the interest, which will also in turn change the amount of our maturity value. So it's actually $109.20. So I need to make that edit here. It is 109.20. So this 91 is also 109.20. So 7,200 plus 109.20 gives me $7,309.20. I apologize for that error. Okay, so here for B, everything stays the same. So we've got the $7,200 for the principal. We've got the 6% interest rate. But this time, instead of doing it 91 days out of 360, we're doing an exact year, so we're going to divide by 365. So I do 7,200 times 6 divided by 100 times 91 over 365. So this is $107.70. $107.70. That's just the interest amount. Remember, I have to pay the loan back plus the interest that I borrowed for the amount of time that I borrowed. Sorry. So we're going to take our 7,200 plus the 107.70, and that gives me $7,307.70 is the amount of money that I have to pay back. Here, in this next set, there is a try on your own. It's asking two problems. The first one talks about ordinary interest. The second one does an exact interest, so please make sure you divide by the right amount. It asks you to compute your interest and your maturity value for both. Go ahead and take about 5 minutes to work through questions 1 and 2. Try on your own. Go ahead and pause your videos now. As you can see, the answers to questions 1 and 2 have now been provided. Please take a moment to compare your answers to mine. If you didn't come up with that and you have some questions, please feel free to ask. On the next slide, you're going to see a debriefing question. Answer that before moving on to the next set of questions.